All right. So welcome back, Ms. Sharon. We met about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were chatting about a few different things, and it kind of boiled down to having that feeling of being dismissed when people spoke over you or didn't listen or cut you off. And I want to have a chat about that today so that we can, if it's relevant, clear that pattern and do some other things, which we'll chat about in just a moment. But tell me, over the past 3 weeks, what's gone on? What have you noticed about this pattern? Anything else to share with me?
I think I've actually found myself when that situation arises, looking at it slightly differently. I'm still, at certain points, I still feel very disrespected, dismissed, but on others, I've probably just let it go by the wayside. One I've mulled over a little bit and sort of just through the head going, should I have said something, shouldn't I? But in general, focusing on it from a different perspective. So actually just trying to look at it differently.
Nice. Was there a different, like, what was the difference in those scenarios?
One was probably where I would normally jump in and go, well, yes, that's what I've said. Whereas I've just gone, yes, correct. So just looking at it differently, going, well, I agree with you, versus trying to defend that I'd actually said that.
And so that need to be heard wasn't necessarily there as much.
Yeah.
Cool. And the other situation?
Sorry?
And the other one where you kind of molded over?
Yeah, I did a similar thing, but then I walked away feeling like I probably should have defended myself a bit more, going, well, actually, you know what, that's kind of what I was saying. But then at the end, I just sort of went, look, we've got to the situation. Let's just move forward from here.
I think that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
You know, in both of those situations, there's a change within it. What do you think that was? Like, what meaning would you put on that reframe that you're doing?
Probably because after the last session that I had with you, I did go away and do a little bit more around what could I do myself in those situations. So I just did a little bit of journaling myself.
Perfect.
To very much go, well, hang on a minute. Is it really necessary for me to make it known that I've said that? Or is it just for me to go, agree? I think also too, after the last session, I actually had a bit more courage to go into my boss and sit there and go, you may notice sometimes when people talk over the top of me, I stop talking. And she said, yeah, you seem to freeze in the moment, but I know you're doing that because you're allowing me to speak. And I said, So I was able to have a bit more of a conversation with her about it.
Good for you.
Yeah. So felt better with it. Basically said to her, well, in actual fact, it's not me just letting you have the table. It's me sitting there going, well, hang on a minute. I feel you're listening to respond versus listening to listen. And me actually stopping is because I'm a little bit annoyed. And she went, oh, okay.
Good for you.
It hasn't completely changed. So it's still happening quite regularly. But she'll see me stop now and look at me and go, I've jumped in, haven't I? I went, and I think with that, I've then been able to approach it more from the standpoint of, well, if it happens, I just go, look, we've got to the resolution. Let's move on.
Yeah. Is there still that feeling in there when it happens of some of your words were being dismissed, not being heard, being judged?
Still a little bit, yes. And I think that's where I've been trying to work out, is it how I've said something previously and has that actually been heard in the way I've intended it? So almost, how is my voice being heard? Is there another way that I can put forward that so that I don't feel I'm in that situation? later on.
What have you learned? What have you learned about that?
I can approach it differently. I definitely feel, and not just in terms of that situation, but in others that I've tried it as well, I've actually almost done the caution to the wind of who gives a shit. Just say it.
Good for you. Good for you. You know, you said last week you want more of that confidence to be able to speak up.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks ago, but you've done that. Well done.
Yeah. I went to a workshop on the weekend, which also helped me, which I think is why I've just gone,
brilliant.
Where the one thing I wanted to let go of was worrying about what other people thought, which is kind of what this was a little bit about, and to just step into that confidence and that raw, as in line raw.
Very nice. Very nice.
So,
very.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I had thought about doing is looking at that part, that because you had said that there was sometimes this feeling like this air pocket that sits in your throat and you just freeze and clam up. And taking a look at that was the part that kind of feels dismissed.
Yeah.
Communicating with that and also figuring out where that comes from. But is that still relevant? Because if not, we'll find out another avenue to continue working with it.
Probably not so much as relevant now, because I feel I've, over the last 3 weeks, done something each day and made a conscious effort to go, right, let me just try something here.
Perfect. I love that. I love that. Because it becomes that aspect of, you know, when you know what you want, when you know better, you can do better.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Chipping away and doing little bits in the workshop you did on the weekend. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So then my question becomes for today, by the end of today's session, what do you want to walk away with?
So the end of today's session, I feel I want to walk away with a strategy on how to I've just realised my absolute clarity and vision in focus in niche for coaching, right?
Ooh, nice.
Taken the step to get someone professionally to do website, to do the lot. So for me to actually take that step and invest is massive.
Okay.
I want to be able to
say that a strategy to about how to take the step.
No, it's the strategy to actually when I start, because I know it happens, I know I do it. When I start to get in my own way of actually continually doing the steps to achieve it.
Okay. So when you get started and then sometimes you get in your own way.
Yeah.
So you want the strategy for when you start.
When I start to see myself get in my own way.
Okay.
How do I, to flick that to the curb.
Okay. So it's strategy to use when you notice you start to get in your own way. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are some of the warning signals that you're starting to get in your own way?
I actually start to question my direction, and therefore go more into planning and doing behind the scenes than actually promoting and just getting myself out there.
Okay. And instead of questioning your direction and then moving into different areas, what do you want to do instead?
I want to stay on focus because I know it's right, because I keep coming back to it every time I've I let it go too far, feel bad, beat myself up, do all of that, then come back on track, and it hasn't changed. So it's almost like I reach that upper limit that, okay, I'm stepping out comfort zone. No, I'm not going to do that, and I'll drop back 2 feet.
Do you notice that you are doing this when you start to get in your way? Do you notice it when it's too late?
No, I notice it beforehand.
Okay.
I notice it beforehand. I have a tendency to allow myself to mull in it too much, and then it becomes too late.
Okay. So today we want to be able to have a strategy for when you get in your own way, then you stay on focus.
Yeah.
How will you know that you've got that strategy to be able to stay on focus?
Because when I put it in play, I have no doubt to do the next step. I don't hesitate. I might just leave that for now. I get in and just do.
Okay. How will we be able to test that in today's session?
So for me, and here's where I find every time I recenter and get back on, I get the flutters in the heart space, and it's just it's the absolute flutters that I know that this is right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be able to test for that.
Yeah.
And maybe situations and scenarios where you start getting your own way and see if we can easily get you recentered.
Yeah.
Okay. When you have this ability to stay focused, what resources do you think you need, and what do you think you already have to get yourself recentered?
I already have my support network. They're here, and usually they're the ones to actually go refocus. It's probably more those things that I need when I start to see it myself and not let it go too far. So something that is the trigger then versus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you need is being able to bring yourself back on track.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. When you have this ability to refocus so that you can stay focused and bring yourself back on track, what will you see, hear, and feel when you have that ability to do that?
I'll definitely feel those flutters in the chest, similar to the feeling that I get when I know that this is, when I know it's the right thing.
Yep.
I won't hear my voice going, no, it's okay, leave it till later.
What will you hear instead?
I'll actually hear myself, right, next bit. It's that, just get in and do.
Okay.
And I will see less of a to-do list, and I will see more traction with clients coming in.
Nice. For what purpose would you want that to be able to stay on focus when you get in your own way?
Because I've got a vision I want to achieve, and every time I go off focus, I let go of time, I let go of confidence, I let go of those things and beat myself up more versus just continuing along the path and making it happen. So it'll happen sooner. It'll happen sooner for me, for my partner, and just the feeling that I get from that. Yeah.
Okay. And is this just a work thing? Like, when and where will this be useful?
It'll definitely help me with my own business. I actually think it will not necessarily. I don't have as much of an issue with doing it at work because I just get in and do.
Okay.
It will definitely help me within my own business, but I think also too it will help me help or lead by example for my partner in his business.
Nice. Very good. Very good. And is there any non-useful consequences of this? Are there any side effects that will not be useful for your home life, for your relationship, for your family?
No, I don't think so, because I think in achieving this, I will actually reduce my burnout because I won't just keep doing this circle and circle and circle and circle. So I see it more of a benefit.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So by the end of today's session, we will have a strategy of how to get back on track and recenter when you get in your own way. And you'll know that we've done that because when we think about some scenarios, you will feel more of that flutter in your heart space, and you'll have more of that internal dialogue of next bit, next bit, next bit, just do it, and having more traction.
Yeah.
And the traction you'll notice in real life, but the other stuff we can test today.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. So I think where I'd like to start, because this is kind of a new direction and I might need a little bit more information as we go. I'd like to actually take you back to a time when you've gotten off track so that I can see what happens even to that heart flutter and what happens inside as you're doing that. So I'm wondering if you can close your eyes for me and take yourself back to a time recently where you have, you know, gotten off track and you've gotten in your own way and you stayed in your own way.
Yep.
And allow yourself to step in there as if you're there now, so you can really associate to that, seeing and hearing and feeling what's occurring and what's happening. And then just let me know inside, first of all, where do you feel something? And then what is it that you're connecting to?
I feel a sense of, I don't know whether it's worry or not necessarily fear, but putting a course out there for the third time and not having anyone sign up. So I hold off from advertising, or I do it sporadically. I don't do it consistently. I lack confidence or even just words on how to put it together in an ad to put out there. So I just don't do it.
Okay. And in those instances, besides just spinning your wheels and doing the same thing over and over again, what do you need in those instances? What kind of resources might you be missing?
Potentially some assistance or some guidance on how to frame the ad, because I know what the course is about. When I first put it out there, I've got all the confidence, and then I sort of don't get the traction with registrations, and then start, well, am I putting it out there the right way? Are people reading it the way I intend? So it might be around how to frame it.
Okay. And just check that you that feels in that moment, that word, that fear, that holding off, no consistency, the lack of words. How do you know, even if the ad is perfect, how do you know that ad is reaching the right people?
Sorry?
How do you know that ad is reaching the right people?
I don't know.
And is this like a Facebook ad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that says to me there might be a few more bits of capability and skill and knowledge that you might need.
Yep.
And sorry about the airplane going by. Close my door. And with that, and that understanding that it might be a little bit of the skills, knowledge, competencies that you need to build as well. Tell me a little bit more about that feeling of worry or fear that comes up.
That what's the judgment of people out there with the course that I'm putting out there?
Okay. And if you look at that a bit more, that worry and that fear, that holding off, is that the trigger for getting in your own way?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't get in your own way, what would the next step be? What would you do instead?
I would be connecting with others to seek even a little bit of feedback on how I've put the ad together, or looking at different mediums.
But okay. So allow yourself to kind of tap into that worry, fear, that thing that takes you off your track, that gets in your way. And allow yourself to see a shape or a symbol that represents that. What would it look like if you could see it?
I don't know, it's like this. Have you seen the movie Flubber? It's like that.
Yeah. Okay. So just notice that shape.
Yeah.
And give it a voice, the ability to communicate with us. And I just want to ask it a few questions, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we do this, we're going to be doing a few different things today. And most importantly is that simply you just trust your unconscious mind as we unfold whatever it is that happens. It probably won't be a specific process we do, but probably a culmination of a few. And I'll explain if necessary as we go. But the most important thing, I think, is just trusting your unconscious mind and trusting the flow of the process and where we're going today, which is helping you to get out of, a strategy to get out of your own way, to get back into that refocused situation.
Yeah.
The first question I want to ask to this part that's kind of like that flubber that stops you is, what is its purpose for stopping you?
Protecting me from judgment that's not nice.
Okay. And when it can protect you from that judgment that's not nice, what will that give you?
Greater confidence.
Mm-hmm. And when you have that greater confidence, what will that allow you?
Just the freedom to use the mediums, write what I want to write what I believe.
Yeah. And when you have that freedom, what will that allow you?
I definitely feel it'll allow me greater, the ability to achieve greater traction.
Wonderful. So I want you just to notice that part of you that's creating that stopping, that worry, that fear, that getting off your track is protecting you from judgment that's not nice. And it thinks, hey, then she'll have more confidence. She can have that freedom to do what she wants, and then she can have greater traction, bring in more clients. I like its intention. It seems pretty good to me. What do you think?
Yeah.
Its behaviors get you off track. And based on our conversation before, it almost is, it's, yes, I think there's that judgment, like you said, from others, which isn't nice, but is there also that protection from doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that one, that side of it.
Yeah. It's kind of pushing me out of what I know.
What do you know?
Well, I know that whilst my ads and things around the Facebook side have generated interest and feedback, it hasn't generated the traction I want.
Okay. So with that protection from the judgment, I want you to imagine your timeline. Like history has a timeline. You have a timeline too that marks out your past, your present, and the future. And I want you to look into your past and allow your unconscious mind to reveal any events that contain that need to protect you from judgment. Because that's even what was coming up before, of that being judged, from what we were talking about a few weeks ago. So I think there might be that connection here as well. And allow yourself to see this trail, these lights, these dots, this, however you see it, of that pattern of being judged and needing to be protected from being judged. Let me know when you see that. or
Yeah.
get a sense of it. Okay.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to start floating back, following that trail all the way back to the very beginning, to the first event that occurred in the most in the past. The first pattern, the beginning of this pattern. And when you get there, just let me know so we can check to see if this is the first time. No need to think of where and when or what was happening.
Yeah.
So look even further back. Are there any more dots, any more of that trail that we can follow?
No.
Okay. Allow yourself just to kind of sink down into it as a mind and not a body. Whatever you see or don't see is absolutely perfect. When you're in that very first event that represents this need to protect from judgment, tell me, what emotions do you notice?
Frustration.
What else?
Almost a sense, not necessarily upset, but just not smiling, not happy.
And each day we learn something new. We learn some resources, we gather some learnings. And we're not always aware of what that is. But I want you to allow your unconscious mind, that non-thinking part of your mind, to go into this event and start to contain, start to learn, start to store the learnings that will allow some of these old patterns to shift and change, for those beliefs to be changed, even without needing to know what the learning was. And just let me know when the learnings have been stored.
Yeah.
Good. Good. I'm curious, if you had the ability to give your younger self some wisdom from today, what do you know today that would have been useful for your younger self to know?
Share what you believe because it's your belief.
Do what you believe because it's your belief. What would you tell her about being judged by others?
Judgment or being judged by others is more about them, not about you.
That's right. That's right. So let your younger self take on that understanding and wisdom and knowledge as well. And then float back up above your timeline a little bit more into the past so you can look back towards now. And tell me, where are those old emotions, that frustration, that not happy? Have they disappeared?
Yeah.
Good. And then allow yourself to notice all those dots that lead back to now. And then I want you just to slowly come back to now, only as quickly as you can clean up all those events between then and now. Letting your unconscious mind store the learnings, let go of the emotions on each of those events all the way back to now. And when you get back to now, just let me know.
Yeah.
And then I want you to come back to that symbol. And maybe it's already shifted or changed, I don't know. But that part that needed to protect you from judgment. What do you notice about that now?
It's actually more a solid, rigid shape.
Wow. And what behaviors go with that solid, rigid shape?
Strength, confidence, action.
Wow. Strength, confidence, and action. And what is the purpose of having that strength and confidence and action?
To do what I want to do.
You bet. And when you can do what you want to do, what will that allow you?
It would allow me to enjoy each and every day helping others with what they want to achieve.
You bet.
Sharing my belief and wisdom.
Wonderful. And when you can do that, when you can enjoy those moments and those days, when you can share your wisdom, you can help. Well, what will all that give you?
It'll just give me that freedom, that flutter in the chest.
You bet. You bet. And I'd like you to find within you a word or a trigger or a movement or something that can help us to anchor. And anchor is just that stimulus that is that reminder, can create that situation again. So that in the future, if you notice yourself going off track, if you notice yourself getting in your own way, that you could use this as that reminder to refocus, to bring back that strength and that confidence and that action. What could that anchor be?
The word roar.
Raw. Roar, like the lion.
Yeah.
Roar. And will you say it out loud or will you say it in your mind?
I think say it out loud.
Yeah. So even practice that a few times.
Roar, Sharon.
Yeah. What do you notice inside?
That flutter in the chest.
Wow. And what happens in the rest of you?
I'm tingling the toes, swinging my legs on the chair at the moment.
Very good. And then allow your unconscious mind again to store any learnings and understandings from that. And then when you're ready, come back into the room.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. I'm curious, what did you learn in there?
I learned that no one beats me down apart from myself. So reverse that. The person that can boost you and help you roar is yourself.
That's absolutely right. So what does that mean about you've already got your support network that often they're the ones that say, hey, time to refocus. What does that mean about you being able to be that?
It means I can do it quicker, and when I start to see myself shift, I can do it straight away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So even in your mind, with your eyes open, closed, it makes no difference to me. Imagine a time even in the future where you might have gotten off track. You might have had some of that doubt or the judgment stuff was coming in and you were trying to protect yourself about that. What do you notice happens instead now that you've got that roar?
I see and feel myself sitting there actually saying, roar, Sharon, roar. I don't have that, and I don't have that feeling in the throat.
Good.
And even thinking about it now, I'm like, it's not that I'm excited to get to a point where I need to instigate it, but I'm excited for the feeling it would bring.
That's awesome. Very cool. And when you do that, what happens to the behaviors you're using? What happens to your behaviors?
I definitely find I'm more efficient. Definitely see that I'm going to be, that efficiency, just the do, but I'm not snapping myself and snapping those around me. Not that I do that, but I can occasionally experience it. Yeah.
Sure. And if you're not snapping at yourself or those around you, what are you doing instead?
I'm actually doing the work. I'm putting my voice out there.
Very good. And so what does that mean you're capable of?
I'm capable of sharing my voice and putting it in whatever format, terms that I see to be true, what I believe on whatever platform.
Very good. Very good. What do you believe to be true?
I believe I've always had it. I've just, yeah.
Sometimes we stop ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, just like that little engine, that was going up the mountain. Sometimes we need that. I think I can.
Yeah.
The roar, Sharon.
Yeah.
Just roar. And then when you put your mind to it and get other people's minds out of it, magic can happen, can't it?
Yeah.
So what's important about this?
It's not only going to just help me individually with my own growth, but my business growth, my growth in terms of me and my partner with our businesses, because I feel in me doing it, it's almost the osmosis effect.
Very nice. And within that, is there, I guess, how does that translate? How does it leak over into even, city meetings and other conversations and that triangular management team meetings? How does it even flow into that?
I definitely feel it's going to help me more in that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel now I'm at that point, if I was interrupted, I would feel confident enough to, maybe even say something along the lines of, you've asked for some advice, would you like me to share it, or are you happy with where you are? So at least then I can know, all right, well, they're happy with where they're heading, and we're at that point of move to the next bit.
Very good. So when we started today's session, we said that in today's session we would create a strategy to help you when you're getting in your own way.
Yeah.
And you said you would notice that because of that flutter in your heart space, and none of that internal, just leave it for tomorrow. Have we accomplished that today?
Yep.
Good. Very good. And with that, one last question is, when you now have this strategy, that roar, Sharon, who are you when you're implementing that? Who are you when you are doing what you believe?
I am Sharon, and I am the Visionary Coach, Spiritual Awakener, and the expert in building the bridge from the spirituality and corporate management.
Wow. And hear me roar.
And hear me roar.
Nice job. Nice job. Any extra questions for me?
No, thank you.
You're very welcome. Nice job.
Yay.